loves Jesus in America too. She's a good girl.
Hi folks, and I thought today we'd go over what I'm going to call BLOGJam 20B, and this is how to spice up your playing with sus chords, Part 2. Part 1, we went over a couple of ways of sussing chords, and I'll just quickly review those. Here's your G. You can add the C down here, or your G up here. And then your C, you could do it this way, or you could do it this way. Now if you're not familiar with that, just take a look at Part 1 on this subject. But we're going to move on from that, and what I'm going to do here is just show you something. This is a C. So that's your C, C sharp, D. Okay, here's your D down there, and you're going to tuck your baby finger underneath. So there's two examples ahead of this that display that. One of them is just straight ahead. The other one is actually capo 3, so I'll just quickly grab my capo and show you what that was. And basically, capo 3, still a D. That's all that was. So, just so you know how to sus chords, this is your D, and this is your D sus. Again, as I said before, all we're doing is we're adding the fourth of whatever scale that particular chord is in. So this is a D chord, and you want to sus it. So we'll start with a D note, do our do, re, mi. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, so there's a G there, and there's a G there. Okay. So what we can do is we can just experiment with this a bit. Here's a D. Here's a D sus. Okay. Here's a D. And here's another D sus. Or another way to do that is you could play, and we'll just go over what this is in just a second, but this chord here, take my word for it for now, is a D. Here's your 3 notes. Only I'm barring it and putting my finger there. Okay. And then, so that second finger is on the 3rd fret of the B, and your 3rd finger is on 4th fret of the D. And what you can do is you can play this as a D over F sharp, and then you can take this finger down here, still play the F sharp. That's a really nice sounding suspended chord. And quite often you'll see people actually do it here, and they'll add the open E. So you get this. Has a nice ring to it. Very, very different, but still it's a D sus because you're adding the G. Now, here's a bit of a review. Remember, this is F, right? And it's because your anchor finger is on the F fret. Okay? So, there's your F chord. Now, you can take this and move it anywhere you want to, as long as you know that where your anchor finger is going to be. So in other words, if you wanted to play an A chord, you've got to know that the A fret is 5. So anchor here, and that's an A chord. Okay? You could slide that up 2 more, get a B. 1 more, get a C. And 2 more, get a D. So there's another D. And we've talked about how we suspend that one. So you can do this. That's another D suspended. There is a really famous song, Pinball Wizard, and what they do is they do a lot of sussing with this particular chord, but they move it up and down the neck. So what you get is this. Since I was a young boy, I played silver ball. From Soho down to Brighton, I must have played them all. But I ain't seen nothing like him in any amusement hall. That deaf, dumb, and blind kid sure plays a mean pinball. So what they're doing with that one is they're starting off with a B, sussing it, taking it off, A, sussing it, taking it off, G, sussing it, taking it off, and F sharp. And you can just see they're just following the frets. B, there's your B fret, A, G, F sharp. So that's that again. So basically the key rule to any major chord that you're going to suss is you're going to play that major chord and then you're going to add the fourth of that scale. Okay? Now what's really cool is certain songs out there have actually taken that a step farther, and they actually interchange the sussing with actually using the fourth chord. Instead of just adding a fourth note to the major, you can get the fourth chord and you can suss that as well. So you get stuff like, for instance, if I did an A and I wanted to do the fourth of the A, here's your A note. Remember, 5th fret is A. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's our D note. So, if we go from an A to a D, we're basically going from a root to a 4. What a lot of people will do is they'll do that, plus they'll add stuff like and all I'm doing there is I'm sussing the A chord. So I'm taking my A and sussing it. Here's my A chord up here. Now if I wanted to do, instead of a sus, I want to do a root 4 chord, so I want to go from an A to a D. I could do it this way. Very similar to an A and an A sus. But I could also do it this way. There's a sus, here's the A to a D chord. So in essence, I'm barring straight across the bottom 4, the 4 highest strings, and I'm adding 3rd fret on the B and 4th fret on the D. Now remember that frame, because if you take a look at it and move it down 2 frets, 1, 2, that's like hammering on an A minor 7. And those of you who don't know what an A minor 7 is, please look that up. It'll really be handy for you to know this particular thing, because there's tons of songs that do this. Just making something up. Now I could do it this way. Remember, I'm just going from A to a D, right? And in this case, it's a D over F sharp, but still a D. Now what's cool about that is you can do that all the way up the fretboard. So if we want to do a B flat and jump to an E flat, E or B to an E, okay, so we'll go back to the A to a D. Here's an A to a D. Check it out. Here's an A to a D. Notice I'm not using this finger. Now there's just tons of stuff you can do with that. The cool thing about that is this particular run from here to here, quite similar to this, you can hammer them on. Or and there is really a cool song by the Stones that they do exactly that. So check this out. We're going to start with our anchor finger on 5. And if you've been following, you know that's A. B flat. B. Check it out. Notice that is just an A bar straight up there. That's just your typical A minor form, A minor shape, barred on the 4th fret. Check it out. Bar, hammer. So there's a ton of things that you can do with this particular thing, but the point is there's a lot in common with sussing a chord and keeping a rhythm with it, or actually changing the rhythm with it, and using the 4th. And you're going to find that a lot of people love to do that. They love to go from the root to the 4th, or vice versa. So there's just endless combinations that you can come up with. But the idea is to really understand where you are on the fretboard, and remember, the easiest way to find where you are on the fretboard is just realize that the 2 E's are always going to be the same note no matter what fret you're on. So in other words, here's E, they're both E. They're both F. Sorry, they're both G, A, B, C, D, and back to E. So if I wanted to go to some sort of E chord, right, and we already said that's this particular chord, wherever this anchor finger is the name of that chord, right? Well, we just said that this is 12, right? And we know that 12 is an octave, so we can play this. And now we have a basis for, believe it or not, the pentatonic scale. So think about this. Anytime you want to play that chord, you're already in position for the pentatonic scale to do something with that. So you can go stuff like this. I'll do something in E. So you can see that just that pentatonic scale is actually based off of this particular chord. Now in this case we are doing the major third, but the minor third also works when you're playing these chords. And you can bend it up. But the idea is this particular chord sets you up for where you need to be for the pentatonic scale for bluesy stuff. Wherever this finger is the name of the chord that you're playing. Have fun with that, and we'll see you down the road.